Have you ever looked at the financial advice your parents got and thought, this was written for a totally different planet? Well, you're not going crazy and it's not your fault. Today, we're going to dig into why so many young people feel like they're in a state of financial panic. And we're going to see that the real fix isn't about being better with a budget. No, it's about something way, way deeper. All right, let's get into it. This quote right here, it just nails it. You know, when we see young people taking these huge financial risks, our first instinct is to call them reckless. But what if it's not? What if it's actually a pretty logical response to a completely illogical situation? What if the game is so rigged that this is the only way people feel like they can play? And this is a huge part of that illogical situation. Get this, since 1973, the cost of a house has gone up by over 1,000%. Wages? Not so much, not even close. So when the main goalpost for a stable life, owning a home, moves that far away, you're going to start looking for a different way to score. Right, so when those traditional paths just feel like dead ends, people are going to search for new ones. And that's where this idea of a gambling generation comes from. This narrative that young people are just chasing these crazy high-risk shortcuts. But is that the whole story? Well, the data shows just how mainstream these so-called shortcuts have become. I mean, look at this. Over half of Gen Z has dabbled in cryptocurrency. This isn't some niche thing for a few tech pros anymore. It's a real strategy for an entire generation. And this is where that line between investing and gambling gets really, really blurry. A full 70% of young people who gamble are also putting their money in crypto. And what's pushing them? A huge driver is FOMO, the fear of missing out. They're seeing stories on TikTok, they're hearing about a friend's cousin who got rich, and they feel this immense pressure to jump in or risk being left behind forever. This chart, wow, this just perfectly illustrates the pressure cooker they're living in. Just look at that gap. Their debt payments are growing at 27%, while their paychecks are only growing at 8%. You can't budget your way out of that. You just can't. This squeeze is the fuel for the fire, pushing people to find any shortcut they can. So all of this, it all points to one big, undeniable truth. The old financial playbook is completely broken. The rules that our parents and grandparents followed to build a comfortable life, they just don't work anymore. I mean, just look at the difference. The old way was built on this foundation of things you could count on: affordable housing, a pension you could rely on, and the simple ability to save your money patiently. And today's reality, it's soaring costs for everything, an insecure gig economy, and this constant feeling that you have to do something desperate just to keep your head above water, let alone get ahead. And this feeling of insecurity is accelerating like crazy. The number of Gen Zers who feel financially insecure jumped from 30% to a whopping 48% in a single year. This isn't a slow-burning problem. It's a wildfire of anxiety sweeping through a generation. Okay, so we've established the problem is real and it's bad. But here is where we're going to take a sharp turn. Because the typical advice is, they just need better financial literacy. But the data suggests the real root cause is something else entirely. Let's just ask the question head on. With all this pressure, all this anxiety, is the problem really about money? Or is all that financial desperation just a symptom of a much deeper kind of confusion? This is the real sequence of events. It doesn't start with bad money habits, no. It starts with career confusion. You don't know what you're supposed to do, so you take the wrong job. That job, of course, leads to burnout. And when you're burned out, feeling like all your hard work is for nothing, that's when financial desperation kicks in. And suddenly, those risky shortcuts, they start to look like the only way out. And look, this isn't just a Western problem. This data from India is staggering. The unemployment rate for college graduates is almost 10 times higher than for people who are illiterate. Now, the point isn't that education is bad, of course not. It's that education without self-awareness, without knowing where to apply it, can lead you straight into career confusion and a dead end. So, this brings us to the actual solution. If the root cause is career confusion, then the answer isn't another budgeting app. It's finding a better path for yourself. It's all about finding clarity, because clarity gives you the one thing that desperation takes away: patience. So what is career clarity? It's this amazing combo of three things. First, really understanding your own core strengths. Second, seeing the actual possibilities out there that fit with those strengths. And third, having goals that are actually yours, not just dreams you picked up from Instagram.
And you can actually get there with a really simple but powerful framework. QPA. The order here is everything. You have to start with qualities, figuring out who you are. Only then can you explore the possibilities that truly align with you. And from there, you can finally define your real aspirations. Always start with qualities.
Because here's the magic. When your work actually fits who you are, patience isn't a struggle anymore. You can put off that instant reward because you have real faith in the process. You believe deep down that your hard work is building towards something that matters. And that belief changes everything. So let's come full circle back to this idea of a shortcut. A whole generation is out there looking for a quick win, a way to get ahead fast. But maybe they've just been looking in all the wrong places. Because the fastest way to get to a place of financial stability isn't some lucky crypto bet. The real shortcut is the hard, important work of knowing yourself. That's the one investment that will pay off for the rest of your life. And so that's the question I want to leave you with. Take an honest look at your own career, at the choices you're making, how you feel about the future. Right now, who's in the driver's seat? Is it clarity or is it desperation? Because the answer to that question might just change everything.